So in your role as visual effects supervisor, what process in the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes did you start your initial work?
My first meetings on this were in like 2019 when we were just talking about the story and just trying to figure out how we would shoot things, but I was there from the beginning of prep on the shoot, all through the shoot, and then all through prep. I mean, it's been a constant evolution through all of the movies, but I think the biggest thing for this film is we're using a facial deep learning solver that we didn't have on War for the Planet of the Apes. I mean, the basic premise of it has been very similar from film to film. We're still going out into outdoor locations and we're using performance capture. We're getting both body movements and the actual recordings of our actors. This time around we're using an actual stereo pair of cameras on their face cams. So we're able to actually derive a three-dimensional depth mesh of their face, which gave our animators, and feeding that into a facial solver, gave them a lot more nuanced and a lot more precise version of what the actors did on set. So we had a much clearer blueprint for what that performance actually was. We're absolutely excited about it. You know, I think back to the whole concept of this, like 20-year-old me would have been like jumping up and down. I mean, like it's like it's film school in a can sort of idea, right? You really can see how what the process was, like how it went. The thing that's cool is that this isn't some flex by Wes to show like, hey, look how much we did practically. This was very much like a celebration in his mind of like, look how well the visual effects work and how truthful they are to what the actors actually did on the day. So you're going to get that one-to-one comparison and really see like, oh my God, he really did that. And it wasn't just some invention by animation, some geek sitting in the dark room someplace, right? You know? It's like what these guys gave us is what you see on screen, just in ape form.
So you worked on the first Avatar film, correct?
Yep.
So how big a jump has it been since that first Avatar film back in 2006 when they shot it till now to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Has it been a massive jump? Has it been somewhere in between?
I wouldn't say it's a massive jump. I mean, I think the ideas are very similar, but there's an interesting cycle that seems to be going on where years and years of R&D go into an Avatar movie, and then an Apes film comes along and takes that technology outside. So that happened in 2009, 2010 with Avatar and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then it just happened again with Way of the Water and Kingdom, where we're using, that show they'd started using stereo cameras, kind of just machine vision cameras that were on the Hero motion picture camera that were being used for real-time depth compositing. We didn't need to do real-time depth compositing, but we still were using those machine vision cameras to give us an extra view of what that camera was seeing. We could use that in the process that we call FOCAP, F-A-U-X, FOCAP, where we're not, if we find locations that are too impractical to try and rig a motion capture volume outside, we can use witness cameras, video cameras, but also these little machine vision cameras, and reconstruct their performance in post-production. It's a little more laborious, but it's a way we can make that work. And the same way, this film, in the same way as Avatar Way of Water, we're using stereo face cameras now to give that three-dimensional extra sort of dimension to the facial performances.
Okay.
There's a lot. I mean, I suppose it depends on who the audience is. I think the idea of, for example, when Freya's character is clinging to Owen's character and they're climbing up a cliff together, we actually did capture that with Owen in a motion capture suit with a blue cover over the top of it, and Freya was literally clinging to his back as they were climbing up a climbing wall. And we captured that and used that, and we used the performance that you see of Freya in the movie, but the intricacies of trying to get a human being who's supposed to be holding on to a character that doesn't fit the proportions of the actor that's playing that character is hugely difficult. I mean, in the sense of we often had to replace limbs, let's say. We're always keeping Freya's faith, without a doubt. But sometimes it was it was her upper half and her lower half was digital. Sometimes it was her arm that was digital, whatever, just to try and make it sure, like when she's holding on to Noah climbing the cliff, that you really believe that interaction, and that is a hugely time-consuming and difficult part of the process. It's huge because what you see on the screen is what they did, in the sense of like we try and deviate from that as little as possible. That the beautiful thing about that interaction with the cast and Wes, like they can try to take. Wes may say, try to do this a slightly different way, make some adjustments. They can do those things in real time. If we're doing that in an animation process, that might take days or weeks, to sort of make those little tweaks, and then you go, it didn't work. You can learn that maneuver. You're doing it once. And so, what we're getting from our cast is the everything. If their ape is not up to scratch, it means we're not going to work once. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
I had the privilege of speaking with Andy Serkis a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it feels like he was probably one of the pioneers of this performance technology. What is his legacy part of all this? How has he helped the jumps and the evolutions of the technology throughout the last few decades?
Andy has been instrumental to the whole thing. I mean, like showing Hollywood that this is a possible thing to do. Right? I mean, his work on Gollum led to his work on King Kong, and that led to everything. But it really, I think, paved the way for what we've got here, and the fact that our cast, we had when they were in Apes school, they were on Zoom calls with Andy. Like, he was literally giving them notes and telling them where to find their voice, literally. Like, no, it should come from. You really need to feel it from inside. So yeah, I mean, that legacy just keeps rippling through.
So is there like maybe any new technology like down the road that's kind of foreseen that hasn't been talked about or introduced? Is there something else out there as big as having the two cameras and like the dots on the face capturing?
I think the hope for everybody is that at some point we can get to a point where there's no cameras, or at least on the actor. We really would love to get to a point where it doesn't take a crew like a big footprint, to do a show like this. Who knows where things will go if we can leverage machine learning or something like that into the future to really help with that process. It's a tricky one in the sense of, our process right now gives that little camera has got like an unobstructed view, perfect lighting, no matter what the scene looks like. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of the next big hurdle to clear. I think is to make the process less cumbersome, less both for the production and also for the actors themselves. To not have to sit and get their dots on, to not have to wear the head rig, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll see where things go.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much.
Cool.